Hi, everyone. I am Becky Nova of Lady Landlords, and welcome to our podcast and YouTube channel, Live Free with Becky Nova. So, I want to take us today back to the very beginning and the place that we should all be focused on. And that is starting your journey in real estate investing. Now, this is something that you can use even if you are a beginner and have not bought property yet and are just starting to think about what being an investor would even mean to you. And also, this is actually a conversation today that's going to be able to help you if you are a seasoned investor. If you are a person that owns multiple properties now and are looking for the next one, but maybe feel a bit lost, this is a great way to kind of ground yourself and think about where you can really move forward from this point. So I want to encourage everybody to still be able to listen in because this conversation today is going to be applicable to everyone. Now, one of the problems that I hear all the time from people in our Lady Landlords Facebook group and other investors that I know is they're not really sure where to get started. I feel like there are tons of different sources for information between YouTube channels, our podcasts, like you're listening to here, and other sources of medium that will provide you with information from this. We all are sitting there between Instagram and other Facebook groups reading all these things that people are doing. And we're all sitting there being like, well, I want to do that. Or maybe I can do that next. Or maybe that's a good idea. And it could be really, really overwhelming. Even myself now, after investing in properties it'll actually be just about 3 years now that I started my journey. And for those that don't know me, I purchased 10 doors over the past 2 years, both in New York, so a very high cost of living and competitive area, but then also in the Dominican Republic. And even myself, I get really caught up in like seeing what other people are doing. I mean, I'm like, maybe I should have went that way. Maybe I should have went this way. But I'm here to tell you that we need to be able to find a way to block out some of that noise to be able to make the right decisions for us. What I think is so cool about real estate investing is that there is really a place for me to get started on this journey and be successful, you to get started and be successful in this, and everybody else out there has a position of what they can really do to be successful in real estate. But we need to find a way to start blocking out all of this other noise going on of what other people are doing. I feel like that is almost the root cause of where this paralysis analysis comes in. So if you're a person that feels just trapped and stuck and are listening to everybody else, and if you feel that that paralysis analysis that so many real estate investors get trapped in, if you feel that that is applicable to you, then this episode and listening to the suggestions we're going to make today are going to be a great fit for you because it's something that I really want to see more investors and more women out there getting involved, purchasing property, and getting closer to their goals of financial freedom. So, the one thing that I always tell people that they need to start with at the very beginning, when you have that question of like, oh, how do I begin in real estate investing? The way to get started is really to think about what it is that you want out of this. And I know as cliche as it sounds, you want to be able to start thinking about your goals. What are you trying to get out of real estate investing? And once again, success is going to mean something completely different to me than it is to you. So we need to identify what exactly success is. I personally, and I've said this multiple times on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, that my goal is not to have this crazy real estate investing empire. My goal, I never want to own hundreds of doors, thousands of doors. That is just not for me. That is not what I am looking for. I always tell people, and I have no problem ever sharing my goal, but my goal is to actually own the least amount of doors for the most amount of money. Now, that personally is my concept. Not everybody is even in that same boat. There were tons of people there that they do want to build that empire. And there is nothing wrong with that. If that is what you want, you got to go after it. But you're going to have a very different plan and a very different organizational strategy that you need to follow than what I do versus the other person that says, you know what? I don't need to leave my 9 to 5 job. I'm not looking to replace an income, but really what I want is just to have a couple $100 coming in a month. Or maybe I just want to have a side project and something that I care about. And flipping houses and renovation interior design is something that I really like. Those are all okay things. But we need to identify what success looks like ourselves to be able to move forward. That's an incredibly important position that we all need to take. So when you're looking at your goals, personally, I am a big fan of the SMART goals. If you haven't seen that, you can actually look. There is another podcast episode and a YouTube video that goes all into how to set up those goals and really put yourself in a position of success. But all I'm asking you to do is kind of put some pen to paper, use notes on your iPhone, whatever it may be, but really sit down and say, well, what does success look like to me? What am I trying to get out of this? Once you're able to start there, that's when you can move into the second phase. The second phase is then picking a strategy that then goes along with your actual goal. For example, I had mentioned that my goal was to own the least amount of properties for the most amount of doors. What that should tell you right there is that I'm probably looking more for rentals. I am looking for that monthly income. I am looking for that cash flow. To me, that's then going to be a better place than some of the other options within real estate investing. For example, wholesaling does not really kind of fit with any of the things that I just said. Honestly, doing the BRRRR strategy, doing some renovations here are also really not exactly what we're looking for. That's a fit for what I do. I am not necessarily looking to be that project manager and oversee construction crews and go and pick out different faucets and doorknobs. That is not me. I don't even like doing that for my own house. I don't want to do it for a rental property. And it's just really not something that fits with my lifestyle and the things that I see doing. If you are a person that gets really, really excited for any of those things that I just said, that is great. And you need to identify what your plan is. We all have different strengths. We all have different weaknesses. We all have different time commitments. There are certain things within my own time and my own schedule that I know I cannot do. Managing contractors is probably not something that's going to be in my daily schedule the way that my life is right now. Will that change at some point? Probably. Will that be something I would like to do in the future? Possibly. But at this point in time, I have to stick to the goal that I've originally set for myself, which is to own the least amount of properties for the most amount of money. Now, when we're looking at those different strategies, it is okay to realize that those are going to change. Just like our goals are going to change and what success means to us is going to change, we need to be constantly looking at what those different ideas are. For example, some people might say right now they need to come up with the capital to be able to purchase properties. A lot of people do that by going through wholesaling. Now, if you're not familiar with wholesaling is, we do at Live Free with Becky Nova, but there's going to be very different strategies to start when you're looking for that first capital there. Once you find that capital, whether it's raising that capital through wholesaling and kind of hustling that way, using private lenders, whatever it may be, once you have that, now you kind of need to re-identify what success looks like for you. And now you can actually change the direction that you're going. Maybe you're saying, well, now that I have that settled and I do have my capital, what I really want to actually work on is creating that monthly passive income that rental properties can. That is okay to make that change. We grow, we get older, we re-identify what our goals are, and our lifestyle changes. Now, maybe you don't have as much time as you needed before when you were wholesaling, but maybe you have more money, so that'll actually help you get more into the rental game. So constantly be thinking about these strategies and the different options for you. There is nothing wrong about pivoting, about making changes to make sure that you're pushing this journey in the direction of what really fits with you. So once you now pick out what your strategy is going to be, what type of real estate investor you're going to be, the next thing that you want to do is you want to think about your criteria. Now, this one is then one of the other most popular questions I feel like we get in the Lady Landlords group. It can be very difficult when you think about there are hundreds of cities and towns and neighborhoods and different ways that you can invest. You can still invest internationally. You can invest in long-term rentals and short-term rentals and multifamilies and single families in your area, long distance, out of state, places that need work, that don't need work. There are all these different price points and so many different factors. And I understand why that can stop some people in their tracks being like, oh my God, I do not know which one to pick. I do not know which one to go with or how to move forward from here. This is where people get stuck in analysis paralysis because there's just so many different options there that it can be really scary. And I totally get that. But now that you've really set up what success looks like to you, and then now you're thinking about what strategy actually fits with that and fits with your lifestyle, now the last thing to do is to really figure out what that criteria looks like that you should be buying in. This is where now it's a great opportunity to be able to evaluate what your portfolio should look like. That's where you want to start with once again, what that goal is. For example, if you're saying that you really want to want to bring in $500 cash flow per door per month, right? Well, then you have to start figuring out what market is going to be able to do that. Then you have to figure out if that's going to be a long distance, if that's going to be short distance, and then also how you're going to have to manage that. But if you work backwards from that direction, now you can have an area, you'll be able to narrow down the area that you should be looking for. Now you'll be able to narrow down the amount of money that you're going to need, not only for that down payment, but also what is your budget for a property? We all know the market is incredibly crazy right now. I see stories all day long and hear from investors about how they've been outbid, even though they went over ask and they went tens of thousands of dollars over ask, and they gave up these contingencies and they went with these allowances and all these different options. It is a tough market out there. And we can get really, really bogged down with all of those different options. But if we set up our criteria of what we're looking to buy first, and then just go after those properties and just go and find deals that fit that criteria, we'll be able to kind of sift through all of these different options in a much faster way. So think about that. Think about what your criteria should look like, okay? Think about your long-term versus your short-term renters. The Airbnb market is incredibly different than it was a year ago. And honestly, I think it's going to look very different in another year from now. But that might be something you want to consider. Think about and weigh those different pros and cons to that, to investing near you versus long distance and out of state. And that to me is one of the coolest things. I think it is great right now for so many investors that are going out there saying, hey, I have never been to this city, this town. I've never seen this property, but they can actually know their numbers well enough, get to learn the area, because remember, we are living in a completely virtual world right now. So take advantage of all the opportunities that we have and all the things that we've kind of learned with COVID over this past year to be able to still purchase property out of state. That's going to help you if there's a ton of competition where you are right now. If you want to buy in maybe that short-term rental market that maybe you just don't live in, but you feel that it would be a great success and would really be able to help you reach those goals, that's a great opportunity to take advantage of this time. But make sure to know what your budget is. Make sure to know what numbers you're looking for. And then that way, once you're able to sift through those different opportunities, you're going to end up realizing that instead of having a million options of what to do, you're going to end up with maybe 4 or 5 different options. And that's going to really make it a lot easier for you to be able to move forward and be able to make a decision and either purchase your first property or purchase your next property. Now, if you need help being able to narrow down what that criteria should look like, if you need help trying to figure out what is the right direction to go for, please do remember that Lady Landlords, we do offer what's called the Lady Landlords Roadmap to Real Estate Investments. And what we do there is we really break down real estate investing for you into 3 easy steps. And once we're able to do that, I can write out a roadmap for you where you literally have to follow step by step to be able just to reach your success. Now, this is personalized for every single different member, as we all have different goals and strategies, as we've just been talking about here for the past couple of minutes. But in that roadmap, that is your personalized journey to success and to success for you. I understand how difficult it'd be when we have so many different options, and sometimes you need somebody that's been there, done that, to help narrow down those options for you. So make sure to check out the link in the show notes to learn more about that roadmap if you are really feeling like you are stuck in the middle of the road and need to figure out a path moving forward. So hope to help. Otherwise, you are always able to reach me either in Lady Landlords in the Facebook group or over at Becky Nova 24 on our Instagram. Shoot me a message. Let me know what's going on with you, as I would love to see you be able to reach your goals and move towards financial freedom. Thanks, and see you back next Tuesday for our new episode coming out then. Bye.